Yo, what's good, YouTube? It's Sexton here. We are talking about the original WrestleMania 41 card. This is what was uh, revealed in the WWE Unreal thing on Netflix. It is kind of like a behind the scenes kind of thing that WWE is doing at the moment, which I think has always been there. It's like WWE 24/7, right? Where they pull back the curtain on certain events, which I think is cool for certain things, but I think in certain situations you do need to keep that kayfabe, and to be honest, this kind of kills it. It kills everything with that, but it is what it is. Let's go over the original card for the show. I'm going in reverse order, so let's do the ladder match for the U.S. title. It is LA Knight versus Jimmy Uso versus Andrade versus Solo versus Santos Escobar versus Carmelo Hayes versus Shinsuke Nakamura. We have a ladder match for the Intercontinental title. Jey Uso versus Damian Priest versus Sheamus versus Bronson Reed versus Ludwig Kaiser versus Sami Zayn. My first initial thought on this, easily move Carmelo over to the Intercontinental side, and then you move Damian to the US side. I don't know, that's just me. But the other competitors I think are perfectly fine where they are. It was rumored that we were going to get Rey Mysterio with Travis Scott versus Chad Gable. I assume Travis Scott probably told WWE Creative, hey, I have a select few wrestlers that I like. Ray being one, Cena being the other, probably like a Randy Orton or something. And maybe said Cody, as the casual fan. Kind of would say like, hey, I kind of want to just pick the main name guys. Ray ain't a name guy like he was back in the day, but in terms of a big name for wrestling, he is there. So I don't know. I think that's kind of interesting. I don't really understand the dynamic though with Ray and Travis. I mean, they're both short, so I guess. But is Chad going to be Chad, or was he set to be El Grande by then already? All right, let's get into the next couple matches. Braun Breaker versus Drew McIntyre with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the special guest referee. That would have been a crazy match. That would have been cool. I think Drew versus Braun would have been sick because you literally could have a moment where Braun is going for the spear, easy Claymore counter. You could have a situation where Drew goes for the Claymore or goes for a future shock. Braun springs off the ropes and boom, instant spear. We would have had Bad Bunny versus Dirty Dom Mysterio. That would have been pretty interesting. You could have had Dom accompanied by Liv. You could have had Bad Bunny accompanied by some other diva, and then boom, make that a situation like that. That would have been alright. It wouldn't have been crazy, but I think it would have been cool. The women's tag team titles would have been Becky Lynch and Charlotte versus Io and Asuka of the Kabuki Warriors. Technically not the Kabuki Warriors because it's Asuka and Kairi, but still technically, damage control in a sense. But yeah, I don't know. I think that would have been cool. Two of the four original horsewomen would have been in this match, so I think that would have easily been a ticket seller right there. But yeah, the WWE Women's Championship would have been Nia Jax going in as the champion versus Jade Cargill. Kind of interesting now because it's literally Jade and Tiff at SummerSlam. But no, that should literally be a good match. I don't think it would have been horrible. I'm not really a big Nia Jax fan. Not really a big Jade fan either. Didn't really like her in AEW either. But no, I think it would have been okay. I think it would have sufficed for a women's championship match. It would have been alright. It would have been whatever. Wyatt Six versus Judgment Day. Honestly, I think that could have easily opened up the show for WrestleMania. I think that would have been sick. That would have been really, really cool. Because the Wyatts, you have Uncle Howdy, you have Dexter Loomis, you have Nikki Cross, and then versus Judgment Day, which I assume would have been Finn, JD, Dom. Actually, yeah, I don't know. Carlito at the time. You could have had Liv in there. Yeah, that would have been alright. That would have been okay. Rhea versus Bianca, funny enough, which actually happened, just adding Io into there. So yeah, that's kind of crazy. That Rhea was always kind of penciled in as the plan to be the main women's world champion. Not the main title. Actually, no, I think that is the main title for the women because for the men, it is the World Heavyweight Championship, which is the title not the World Heavyweight, the WWE Championship that Cena holds currently. So yeah, kind of interesting that Rio was always penciled in to be in that. So yeah, the World Heavyweight Championship would have been Gunther versus CM Punk. Funny enough, because we're literally getting that at SummerSlam, so that's kind of interesting when you think about it. And Roman versus Seth, which again I think would have been fun for Mania. I think would have made a little more sense. Personally, having Punk in there for the triple threat, I think was kind of whatever to me. I don't really think it was needed. I do get why they did it. It did make sense for the time to have Roman, Seth, and Punk. Because Heyman, this and that, whatever. Obviously got the double turn by having Heyman align himself with Seth and eventually Braun and all that. But I think it's more of a situation like I think Roman and Seth are going to get their match. I think we were supposed to get that at SummerSlam now. But yeah, it is kind of crazy because a lot of the talent here like weren't really listed within Mania. Like Bad Bunny didn't have a match at Mania. Did Naya really have a Mania match? I don't think she did. Asuka wasn't there for Mania. And then I mean for this one, I mean a lot of guys on here weren't really even used. Santos Escobar. I don't think Carmelo had any Mania moment. Shinsuke didn't have a Mania moment. I know LA did. LA fought Jacob. Logan fought AJ. That's crazy. AJ ain't even mentioned on here. I don't even see Logan anywhere on here either. Like that is insane. That's crazy. The original plan for WrestleMania 41. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. What do you guys think of the original card? Personally, I think this would have been way better than what we got at WrestleMania 41.